Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies for starting a bit late. We're supposed to be starting at 9. So we'll try to be as quick as we can when it comes to speeches. But first of all, we are going to be reading the obituary first, instead of last. And our reader of the obituary will be Evelyn Sineke. In the meantime, let me introduce myself, of course, because some people don't know me. My name is Semi Kumalo, Tami Semi Kumalo. Thank you.
Evelyn Sineke, 64, of Meadowlands, Johannesburg, passed away on May the 1st, 2023. A devoted mother and friend, she will be deeply missed by all who knew and loved her. Evelyn was born on August 13, 1958, in Meadowlands, Johannesburg, to David and Anna Tage. She grew up in Meadowlands, where she formed lifelong friendships and a strong sense of community. She attended Naledi High School and later graduated from Damlin College and Rao University with a degree in accounting, which she used to build a successful career. As a loving and supportive mother, Evelyn raised two wonderful sons, Mandla Sineke and Kululeko Monde Sineke. Her greatest joy came from watching her children grow and succeed, and she was incredibly proud of each of them. Evelyn was a socialite and a joyful person. She had a passion for traveling and sewing, and she enjoyed sharing her love for these activities with her family and friends. Her infectious smile and warm presence made her a cherished member of her community, and she could always be counted on to lend a helping hand and a listening ear. Evelyn is survived by her sons, Mandla and Kululeko, her 3 grandchildren, her siblings, Geli Tage and Mbuzani Tage, and a host of nieces, nephews, cousins, and dear friends. She was preceded in death by her parents, David and Anna Tage. Evelyn leaves behind a legacy of love, compassion, and strength, and her memory will forever be cherished by those who are fortunate enough to know her. Thank you.
Another thing I would like to actually apologize for. I've been to ceremonies where I had to actually officiate, but this is a new one to me. This is the first to be standing in front of people in a church. So you'll pardon my nervousness. Thank you. Actually, Nkululeko was supposed to have a speech too. I don't know if there's any changes. Because you are the first one in the list here who's going to deliver a speech.
Dear Mama, as I stand before you today, my heart is heavy with the knowledge that you're no longer with us. Yet, even in the face of this profound loss, I find comfort in the unconditional love that you always have shown me. Mama, your love was a beacon of light, guiding me through the darkest moments of my life and celebrating the happiest moments of my life. You taught me that love is not just a word, but a powerful force capable of transcending all barriers. Your love for me was boundless, and I'm eternally grateful for the privilege of being one of your children. As I reflect on your life, I'm reminded of the incredible time that we spent together. It was just the two of us at one point in that big home. At the time, I was so fed up with rubbing your feet, scratching your back, and combing your hair. But now I remember those moments as quality time we spent bonding. Your aura filled me with comfort, and I learned that I could talk to you openly and honestly. You knew so much about me. I have comfort that we have said everything that we needed to say to each other, and I have no regrets. I am eternally grateful that every conversation ended with, "I love you." During our time together, you shared with me 2 requests that I now hold close to my heart. The first was to be close and supportive to my brother. Mom, I promise to honor your wish and be there for him, just as you always was there for us. I will stand by his side, providing the love and encouragement that you instilled in both of us. Your second request was for me to reconnect and establish a relationship with my father. This was not an easy task, as the wounds from the past still sting, but I understand that it is important for both of us. Your love has always been a healing force, and I believe that it can help mend the relationship between my father and me. I will always approach this relationship with the same sensitivity, thoughtfulness, honesty that you molded into my life. Mama, I know that forgiveness is the cornerstone of unconditional love. And as I move forward, I will strive to embody the same spirit of forgiveness that you exemplified. I will honor your memory by working to heal the bonds within our family. And in doing so, I hope to find the strength to let go of the pain and embrace the future with an open heart. As I say my final goodbye, I want you to know that the love you shared with me will continue to guide me throughout my life. Your memory will live on in every act of kindness, in every moment of forgiveness, and in every expression of love that I share with those around me. Thank you, Mama, for the gift of unconditional love. You have left an inedible mark on my heart, and your spirit will live on, always. With love, forever and always, yours truly, Inkosi.
Thank Nkululeko for the lovely speech about your mother. I know how people feel, especially close relatives and the family. Here's something I want to just share with you. There was a lady who happened to lose his son violently because he was the only son, the only child. He couldn't stop mourning that boy. Every day when he thought about him, he cried. But ultimately, the boy came in a dream to her. And he said, "Mom, you've grieved enough, you've cried enough, but I do appreciate that, but at the same time, you're actually getting my wings heavier and heavier. People who died after me, they've just flown up right into the gates of heaven. But because of the weight in my wings of your tears, I can't move. So It's about time that we let go. I'm trying to tell now people who feel that they are going to miss Evelyn like everybody else, especially the close relatives and family and her siblings, that it is good to weep and grieve, but sometimes we've got to come to a point whereby we accept it. Because according to belief, even the African beliefs, you're actually blocking something. Because she'll be looking back and feeling pity for you people who are still alive. Thank you. Now, another request I want to actually ask is people should actually switch off their phones before they actually disturb us. Just put it in silence or vibration. Thank you. And then I'll call upon Evelyn Sineke, that's a granddaughter, to come forward. Umatla. Oh, Mandla. Here I've got Umatla, but okay, fine. Hey, Mandla, can you come forward, my friend?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Evelyn Sineke. I'm Evelyn Sineke's son. This morning, I thought I should talk about my mother's works and hope that I can give comfort to those who are left behind. From my earliest memories, my mother taught me about God. Growing up, I would get to know of this God. I know we live in a world that will tell you that God is fiction and that you are fooled to believe in what does not exist, right? So let me ask you a question, and me pose a question to you. What is wind? Can you point out wind to me? Nobody can, right? But yet you decide to believe what scientists tell you, right? The scientists, they tell you that there's air molecules, there's air currents, which you cannot see with the naked eye, right? But let me ask you a question. On a hot summer day, have you never felt this cold breeze pass you? That's the wind. During the violent storms, have you ever seen the trees swaying back and forth? That is wind, right? So you see through the signs, right? And to me, that's what God is. To my children, I need you to understand and hear me. God is forever around us, right? You just need to take the time, open your eyes, and you will see the signs, just like the wind. He'll be there during times of calm, and he'll be there during times of turbulent storms. To my daughters and son, God is love. You ask me, how's that? God so loved us that he gave us a mother, a grandmother, who made sure that we felt her presence of love. She nurtured every one of us, even my friends. She changed hundreds of nappies. Bonolo, that includes you. She sacrificed to put us to bed. We grew up rich, even though the bank account might not have said so, right? She taught us that we are not defined by what man says, right? But what God has promised us. It was a promise that allowed us to journey beyond, this continent, and to be able to share memories and moments with her overseas. Sweet moments, I say sweet, but that comes with a little cherry because some of those sweet moments, there was a time where my mother and my mother-in-law decided to get lost in a mall in Thailand. They said to us they are going to the bathroom. An hour later, they were still not there. We thought they were in a Thai prison somewhere. So from that day, we had a rule to say, guys, I'm going to give you must note down the name of the hotel. I'm going to give you money for the taxi. If you decide to get lost, you will find your way back to the hotel. You know, we live in a world that discourages us from honoring our parents, and we lose sight of those blessings. I'd like to thank my wife for not losing sight of that and for grabbing that with both hands. It was this that allowed us to be able to flourish in our careers. And what that brought to us is that, you know, let me go back a little bit. You know, I remember when I posed the question to my wife, and I proposed to her, and I said, you know, Mama's staying alone, and where she's staying, it's not safe. You know, so safety is not guaranteed. So can we allow her to come and stay with us? The only, what we'd say, caveat to that was that if we found that they did not get along, then we'd have to change the plan. But guess what? She came through, she was a blessing. She took the grandkids to ballet, soccer, gymnastics. She even took our friends' kids. You know, so that was a blessing, guys. Honor your parents. Another thing that I'd like to speak to my kids about is that, you know, you grew up in a world that will try and confuse you, right? And what they will tell you that, you know what, your ancestors, your parents, forget about them, you know? But I'll tell you something, guys. I went to mass every week as a child in primary school, right? And I would sit and ask Mary to intercede for me and ask that she pray on my behalf. You know your grandmother, right? You know what she did for you and the love she had for you on earth. And you know your grandmother's never shy to speak. So just imagine that now she's besides God. So, Umatla, whisper to your grandmother. Talk to her. Trust me, she's going to nag God. She will intercede on your behalf. Believe in that. You know, I also want to tell Umatla Hore, I know when you last spoke, you had said that the last time you visited your grand, you were not able to embrace her the way that you wanted to be embraced. And I want to tell you that, Umatla, when I was 16, and your grandma was sick, it was very hard for me. And I was 16. I'm 44. I went to the hospital. It was very hard for me. So if I couldn't do it as a grown man, do not ever, ever, ever feel that you did not embrace your grandmother at that point in time. It is very hard to see a loved one in pain. Remember that, Nana. Atli, you know, your grandmother loved you, you drove her crazy, but she loved you very, very much. She loved all of us. She loved my friends. And, you know, the one thing that I will tell you is that she was very, very, very much loved this church. She would take the kids. If we are busy, she would grab the kids, and I'm like, yo, how do you carry so many kids and you go to church? But she loved the church because she knows what the church is. She knows what God is, and she taught us through our lives. And, you know, for those that are still trying to seek and try and understand who God is, I'm going to ask that you guys take your time. Please read Isaiah 54. Please do. And you'll understand the promise that God has for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mandla, for the speech. And I really do appreciate the way you actually, the relationship you had with your mother. Because some relationships are very tumultuous. At the same time, I want to apologize for that hiccup before I called on Mandla, because I was told by a family member that he won't be actually addressing us. So my apologies on my behalf and the person who actually caused it. Thank you. I suppose I can call on Umatla now, granddaughter, to come forward. Yeah. Oh, okay. Ayo matata, ayo matata, ayo muri muhali.
Good morning, everybody. So I'm going to be reciting a poem that I wrote today in the morning. And I'm a bit nervous, so just excuse my nervousness. She's gone. That is the message I get when you all come into my house. Give your condolences, grieve with us. Kuku died, Kuku is dead, Kuku is never coming back. She's gone. I don't want to wake up because every time I open my eyes, I realize that I'll never get to talk to her, listen to her, hug and kiss her. Every time I wake up, my house is filled with sadness, with grief, and it's going to be like that for a very long time. I'm told not to cry, I'm told to cry, to not cry, to not hold in my tears, to be strong for my mother and my father. My baby sister isn't even going to remember my Kuku. Kuku won't see me graduate. Kuku won't be able to meet her great grandkids. I thought she would be able to experience all these things. They say to every story there's an end. I just didn't think her story would end so soon. Though she lived a full life filled with laughter and love, she is a living testimony that our God exists, and she will forever be that proof. We often forget to live for the moment and not for the past. We need to remember that death is a part of life. Death had to be a part of Kuku's life. In her last memories, she accepted that. And now her spirit lives on forever alongside God, and her presence forever in our memories. Thank you.
Thank you, Matla. You know, there were times when kids grow, you think they'll stay being kids. On the day of the memorial service, I was really surprised to find that she could stand up and talk. Because there's no hair. She was such a little girl who I thought was so shy. But here she is. She's a grown lady now. So thank you a lot, Ma. Thank you. And then I'll call upon Lolo Kekana, if she's around, to say a piece.
Ke a le dumedisa, ke dumedisa phuthego yotlhe e tlileng kwano gompieno. Yo eme mo pele ga lona ke Lolo ke kana. Ke ngwana wa ga Thage, ke setlogolo sa borra Koikoi. Ke tlile go latola, mo Setswaneng ra latola bagolo. Ha ke tle go bala obituary, obituary e badilwe. Nna ke tlile go latola. Ausi ke ngwana wa ga Rre Setlhako le Mma Mosidi jaaka se go boletswe, e bong me ma Tabuku. Rre Setlhako le Rre Mokgati ba belege ke Rre Gideone. Rre Gideone a belegwa ke Thage. Thage a belegwa ke Bonyatsi. Ke Bonyatsi a belegwa ke Mokgopa. Mokgopa a belegwa ke Rra Mokopane. Batho ba e le Bakwena, ba tswa ba le Bethane. Ke Bakwena ba ga Mokgopa, Mokgopa o Mmatsholela. Ke Bakwena ba ga Mokgopa, Mokgopa o Mmatsholela. Tsholela Motsholedi, bitsa ga ena Motsholedi. Ya kena Kwena ya Tsholela, ya boa ya re tsholela. Tsholela Motsholedi, bitsa ga ena Motsholedi. Tlhabana nko tlhabane, o tshole wena Motsholedi. Ke motho wa ga Mokgati, Mokgati wa ga Nnane. O dula Marupele le Dilepe, a dutse melamu ya batho. A dutse melamu ya mo Mokgopa, Mokgopa le Motswasele. Ba kae Batswana? Motho wa ga Mokgopa wa dira motho. O dirile ausi, o dirile Kwena. Tsamaya Kwena, o ye go ikhutsa. Tsamaya ausi, o ye go robala. Tsamaya Kwena, re a leboga.
Thank you, Auslolo, for the praise singing of the family. NgesiZulu bathi ithakazelo. I believe Barbareta. I don't know. Now I'll call upon umakoti waka Sineke, Lesego, to come forward.
Dumelang bagolo. Hi. Lebitso la ka ke Lesego, saying that we thank God for the blessing and the gift of life ya mama. I met mama back in 2002, and that is the same year that I met Mandla. My first encounter, le mama, I just saw a very young and very stylish lady. Please do pardon my interpreter. Back in. Thank you. In the past 20 years plus, I've witnessed Mama offer love and support first to her children, and naturally that love overflowed over to the family and everyone who interacted with her. And I've had the privilege to experience Mama's love firsthand. Mandla and I stayed with Mama for over 10 years. I must say, we've never had a fight. I know it's hard to believe. However, we had an unspoken rule where if one was not feeling her greatest, you'd stay in your bedroom. Okay, I apologize. You'd stay in your bedroom until your mood improves. Yeah, it's okay. And somehow that worked wonders for us. As Mandla has mentioned, yes, as Mandla has mentioned, Mama helped Mandla and I to raise our 3 beautiful children. In fact, she did everything. In fact, she did everything. She would do the school run, as Mandla explained. She would make sure that when we come back from work, we come back to a home-cooked meal every single day. And somehow, thank you, those around me did not understand the relationship I had with my mother-in-law. But I adored her, and her support and love somehow helped me to further my studies, to advance my career, and to pursue other personal interests. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. To see how blessed you are as a person, it is said that you must count your blessings one by one. In doing so, I realized that Mama has always been in the top 5. I was blessed to have a mom-in-law that allowed me to be me without judgment, that loved me unconditionally. And I know that I've also reciprocated the same love. Mama was there for me during my most difficult times, like when my dad passed. Mama would cook us Sunday lunch every single weekend without fail. Mama showed up for all our special events. Mama's life was a true blessing. Her memory will remain a treasure. Yo, push. Apologize. Okay, let's try again. Mama's life was a true blessing. Her memory will remain a treasure. She was loved beyond measure, and I definitely will miss her beyond measure. I apologize. Mama, rest in perfect peace. I love you dearly. Thank you. If Mama was here, I'm a manhandle right now.
Thank you, Lesego, for a wonderful speech. You know, it's very rare that you find a daughter-in-law and a mother-in-law getting along together. In most cases, it's war. But knowing Evelyn the way she was, you know, when I think of her, I only remember her bubbly laugh and her sense of humor. She used to laugh a lot. So I'll call upon now to on Lebogang Ramafuko.
Good morning, everyone. To my dearest Mokgotsi Evelyn, you bore 2 beautiful sons and brought them up as responsible, respectful, and upstanding men of integrity. When our daughters, Lesego and Tumi, married your sons, you welcomed their mothers, Mama Tshidi and I, into your family and showed us nothing but love. Not once did any of our daughters come to us complaining about how you treated them. Our memories of time spent with you are those full of joy, full of laughter, full of ideas, full of hearty meals, every time served with a little bit of very good archer. You were so observant that you knew I loved caramel cake, and even up to the last days, you made sure that there was one for me and that I would not go home without it. To your kids and grandkids, while your loss is huge, know that Mama E lives in you. When you miss her, find her beauty in the flowers that you see her. Feel her love in the cool breeze of the wind and hear her voice in the humming of the birds. And when days go dark, like they sometimes do, and your hearts are heavy, look up to the stars in heaven and know that she is shining her love upon you. Re tla dula re go gopotse, robala ka kgotso, Mama E. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lebo, with the speech. And for once there, I was concerned that because she's a close friend of yours, that you might go on and on and on. In fact, you'd have found me standing next to you to show you that your time is up. But thanks for cutting it to the chase. Thank you. And then now I'll call upon the father of Mandla and Kululego, Mr. David Sineke.
Good morning, Sanbonani, Dumelang, Abusheni. When I was asked to render a eulogy on this occasion, I was thinking what to say. And I searched for appropriate eulogy to render, and I found the following, and I trust you will receive it in good spirit. It is titled, Someone is Missing. Let this be a loving reminder that someone is missing today. Someone our hearts still hold on to. As we travel along life's way, someone who made life so special for all those who gather here. Someone who won't be forgotten, but cherished from year to year. And now, as we pause to remember, let us all fondly recall how dearly each of us loved her. And oh, how she loved us all. Now it will be remiss of me to end just there. And allow me, Ms. MC, to put context to these words. And to Omatla, this is for you. I received a request from you through your mother about 3 years ago. He had an assignment. And the assignment was to draw a family tree. And I responded to your mother, and I told your mother the family tree from my side. But I missed a very important and a juicy aspect of that family tree. I didn't tell you how I met your granny. It was somewhere in 1975. We had just relocated from Alexander Township to Meadowlands. My mother found a two-roomed house in Musinapila Street. And please remember that name, because that is the genesis of your family tree. And every day, I used to watch through that little kitchen window in that two-roomed house, two young ladies then, or they were girls then, probably 18 and 17. And those two young girls, as they were coming back from school and going to school, I used to watch them because I was in Meadowlands High. And they were in Naledi High, but they passed my mother's two-room house where I lived. And it was Gailey and her sister, Osi. I was attracted to Osi, and eventually I got to meet her in 1975, late in 1975, and got to know her. And we started having a relationship. And in 1976, unfortunately, I had to be hospitalized for about 6 months at Baragwanath Hospital, recovering from a gunshot wound. As you all know, and Umatla, during that time, it was known as the June 76 uprising. So that was the cause of my spending time at Bara for 6 months. And every weekend, Osi will find time to come and visit me in hospital throughout that 6 months. That shows again her loving spirit. Now I like to skip because we're pressurized by time. And it was in 1991, I think, in August, when she was diagnosed with cancer for the first time. And she was hospitalized at the Great Joburg Gen Hospital. And she had to undergo chemotherapy to recover from that illness. And amazingly, she did recover. And that just goes to show how strong-willed she was and very resilient. Unfortunately, skip a couple of years, in 2021, I think around about March, again, she was diagnosed that she had a cancer, and she was hospitalized, this time at Mill Park Hospital. Now, 2021, you'll all remember well that it was a tough time because we had COVID. And she was in ICU under treatment. And when I walked into that ward, my thought was about COVID that could render her not to be able to survive the second bout of cancer. But somehow and miraculously, she survived. Again, it demonstrates her resilience and her strength. Then, skip a couple of years, 2-3 years later, we are now talking about 3 weeks ago, I received a call from Mandla to say Mommy has been admitted, this time to Netcare Hospital in Rosebank, and diagnosed that her internal organs have weakened and are collapsing. That's why she was admitted in ICU. So I came up to visit her one more time, and it was, I think, a day after the public holiday, I arrived in Johannesburg. and I went to Netcare in Rosebank Hospital. As I entered, I inquired, where is ICU Ward 3? They pointed me to that ICU Ward 3. As I walked into ICU, this time I found her the same way I found her in 2021 when she was at Mill Park, under sedation. But then, in 2021, she was able to talk and communicate. And this time, she was battling to talk. She was battling to keep her eyelids open. And when I inquired from the doctor and the nurses, they said it's because she had severe attack from failing body organs. So I just stood there for the duration of the visit, which was 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock on that day. Just calling out her name, and she was responding through her body, trying very hard to talk, but unable to gather her strength to respond. So as I was leaving the ward, I spoke to the nurse who has just come on duty. Okay. She asked me, "Who are you?" And I told her my name. Long before I finished saying I'm David Sineke, she said, "Oh, I've heard a lot about you." I said, "Oh, that's interesting. What have you heard a lot about me?" That nurse said she had a conversation with OC about how her life started, how her relationship with myself grew. She carried on about 3 minutes explaining to me about the areas we went, the places we visited, the family, etc. At the end, I said to the nurse, "There's no need for me to introduce because you know more about me than myself." And she laughed. That memory will forever stay with me. To have somebody who doesn't know me and who doesn't know Evelyn, but coincidentally she happens to be a nurse, and she happens to have a conversation with Evelyn. So I drove back to Cape Town on that Saturday, because I went back to hospital on Friday. So I drove back on Saturday to Cape Town, and I arrived in the morning at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock. I received a call from Mandla, and I thought he was calling just to confirm how we travel safe. But regrettably, he said to me, "Mommy, at 8:05 on Sunday morning, passed away." That was very, very hard to take. But, as we say, God giveth, God taketh. She had fought her battle since 1991, and she has shown her resilience. And in that period, till now, she was able to look after my 2 sons. She was very fortunate to witness the birth of grandchildren. Very few people in that condition can have such an opportunity to witness the birth of their grandchildren. Uhambe ngoxolo, Evelyn Sineke. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, very much, Mr. Sineke. And because of time factor, we are going to call upon, the program will just change a little bit. We are going to call upon Bunolo Siahwe. He was supposed to be last, but I had to put him forward.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bonolo Siakwe. Amani OC, or Aunt Evelyn, was my aunt. And I had wrote something, and given that we're under time pressure, I'll just try and summarize as much as I can. My aunt always made sure that I actually am involved and I participate in everything. As you can see, I'm standing here today. She still makes it happen. A friend of mine once told me that relationships are like a piece of paper. If you tear it in half, the fibers of each side of the paper will remain. My aunt's passing for me was like the piece of paper. What I would want to share with you is the good fibers that I've taken from my aunt. My aunt once said to me, which touched me deeply, she said she has 2 sons that were born from a womb and another one that was born from a sister's womb, when she referred to me. And believe it or not, that actually got me reflecting on my life and how much time I've actually spent with my aunt. I literally have spent more time outside of my mother with my aunt. And let me try and put this into perspective. My mom and aunt are born on the same day, 3 years apart. For a very long time, 3 years apart. For a very long time, I actually thought they were twins. And it took a while for us to actually understand that, no, they're just sisters. But they were so tight, they might as well have been twins. I think they were also intentionally doing this to fool all of us. My mom and aunt literally bought the same car. They drove the same car, worked at the same place. And when I said I literally spent more time with my aunt than anyone else, I literally saw my aunt every day in my preteens. Every Sunday, my mom would be either put me in a train or a palame taxi and go to church. After church, we would actually have a family lunch, which is one of the things that we've carried on as a tradition for a very long time. And I'd like to urge my family to continue with this tradition, and we shouldn't stop. My aunt was very consistent. My wife and I had visas since we got married because, like as you've heard, my aunt took me in and literally spent vacations, holidays, any single trip or whatever activity was happening, I was involved. She did exactly the same thing for my kids. I literally had to fight with my mom and aunt at some point to say, can I please have my kids back? Because I haven't spent any time with them. And moments like that are what I will carry with me forever. And I would like to urge us as a family to continue with the tradition of keeping the togetherness, because that's what my aunt always wanted for all of us. And we've actually done that, and I'm very grateful. Robala ka kgotso kwena.
Thank you very much, Bunolo. Your speech actually brought a memory to me. I remember when I first met your mother and your aunt. They were driving the same cars, I remember. It was Hondas, yeah, a cream one and a white one. That was a long time ago. Now we come to the end of our program. and the time is very, 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 very limited. There's a friend of Mandla's, Dale Williams, who's actually overseas. I don't know if maybe you can still have his audio coming through. Happening.
I met Mom through her son, Mandla, about 19 to 20 years ago. On my first job in South Africa, I had relocated from the UK. It was a strong brotherhood at first encounter, but this isn't about that story at all. Mom was the most accommodating of all adults I met. Little did I know she would be my other mom from my best friend. She made me feel welcome at every point. Mandla, this is really difficult. She brought me to her house. Well, Mandla took me to their house on weekends. Sleep very quick earlier on. I remember the Sunday lunches. They're always something to look forward to. She was a great cook and a great host. She feed us and give us lots to take home. It was fun. I really loved South Africa. And Mandla, I enjoyed being there. And I always wanted to know this friend of mine, where did he come from? Because he was perfect, But little did I know that his mom would be my mom someday. I was involved in family events, loads of family events, weddings, birthdays, funerals. We went out for dinner. This was just me included into the family, this stranger from a faraway land. But little did I know she would be my mom's best friend. But I started to understand that she loved me as one of her sons when it was time for me to get married. Since I met my wife, that part of the world, she understood the traditions and I was lost. I didn't know where to start from. My family back home in Nigeria, at that point, they didn't know the traditions in this side of the world, but Mom jumped into action. She swept into action. She was everything. We traveled for the whole of Bala negotiation. She got me uncles. I just basically got into the tradition. I need to do anything. She did this with a smile and happy, and she was really strong. I started to know at that point she was special, but little did I know she would be my mother for my best friend. Married and had 2 kids. Good and bad. While my career was taking an upward trend, I wasn't as successful in my marriage. But I was hanging in there with her encouragement, with her support. The advice always came in handy. Patience, she knew what to say at the right time. However, my career took an upward trend. I was offered the company that I was working for here transferred me to South Africa. And it was a fantastic time. And this was while my marriage was taking a dip. But, life happens. It was sad me with everything. The relationship between me and was not always privy to these discussions, advice, but I knew she took me as one of hers. She did take care of me. When we were going through the marriage challenges, she, I even naively thought she was a bit too soft on my wife. That thought didn't last. She was tough where she needed to be. I moved to America with my family, and that's where my challenges in my marriages propelled. I found myself left with the kids. I was good, or I was great at being a dad, but being a mom, that threw me. I was off. Men are not really designed to be. No matter what, we're not designed. Reached out to my mom in Nigeria. It would take 2 months for the visa to come through, so it was hard. She wanted to come, but it was hard. Then I reached out to Mandla. Mandla, my brother, what's going on? He knew everything going on in my life. We've been like that, day one. And during that phone call, he just said, I know Mom would want to come. He already knew that she would want to come to help me. I was like, felt a bit strange, but I should have known better. Optimistic, but I was really desperate. I needed help. Within the space of 10 minutes, Mandla came back to me on the phone that Mom was on board. I was okay. Within less than a week, my best friend's mom came all the way from Johannesburg to South Africa. This is not even a small feat. This was even a trip that, a direct flight alone is 16 hours. If there's a stopover, sometimes it can take up to 24 hours. She was here. That's when Mom officially let me know that, no, you are my son. I remember picking up from the airport. I was so happy because this was the worst time of my life. When we got to the house, forgetting that she had cleaned up after us being the boys, me, Mandla, and Kulu. She cleaned up after us so many times in South Africa. I went to the kitchen to act like I had things under control. I started with the dishes and she just laughed. What am I doing? I'm like, okay, I'm trying to. She just said, stop. Just go. And the go really meant just go outside, just go walk, go for a walk. I've got everything under control. This really got to me because I needed it at that point. She really meant that you're good at this point. I knew at that point that God from the
Thank you very much. I would have loved to hear the whole speech, but unfortunately, we are actually eating on Father Iheb's Shamun's time. So maybe we can have a hymn now, since I'm going to be out of here now. I would love to say one thing, borrow from the English version of things. They usually say, the king is dead, long live the king. I say, the queen is dead, long live the queen. Thank you.